Hey, what's up guys, Stevo here, and today I'm going to give you a survival guide for hunters in patch 4.3. To be honest, it's going to be something really short and simple to get you going in survival, whether you're new to a hunter or you're just switching over specs. So first of all, we're just going to look at the talent build. I'm using a 3-7-31 build, and to be honest it's pretty cookie cutter. The only two floater points which you can work around with are the two I currently have in Hunter vs Wild. With a heroic raiding, the extra 10% stamina. It's a win-win situation, keeps you alive longer, but you can switch these around to your liking. To be honest, that's if you just want to look at the build and copy it over. We'll look more into the talents as we get going. So looking at the glyphs, the three prime glyphs are pretty much straightforward. You're going to want to have glyph of explosive shot, glyph of kill shot, and glyph of arcane shot. Now the only time you would switch any of these is on pretty much your side. You could switch out glyph of arcane shot for serpent sting. Heavy AoE fight, serpent sting is better than arcane shot, but it's pretty much only that one fight in particular you could switch that out for. The majors, you're going to want to have glyph of disengage, trap launcher, and raptor strike. Raptor strike is pretty brilliant on certain fights again. Your side heroic, where you can stand in the boss's hitbox. And you can be within range to use Raptor Strike, but also you can still be in range to shoot the boss. Obviously reduces damage taken by 20%, so obviously if you're progressing or your healers are struggling, it's pretty nice to be able to keep this up whenever you want to. And fuck the miners, nobody cares about the miners. So moving swiftly on to stats. Just so you know, hunters wear mail. Yes, hunters, we wear mail. I do not want to see any of you rolling on cloth. If you can even roll on cloth nowadays, I don't know, but you wear mail, and you want as much agility as possible. Primary attribute is all out agility. Now the secondary stats have actually, pretty much the priority has changed in the secondary stats due to the tier 13 two-piece. What a tier 13 two-piece does, it generates the double amount of focus you get when you use steady shot or a cobra shot. So before we used to have to work around a certain amount of haste caps to have enough focus regen to keep explosive shot up, but to be honest most of the focus regen problems are now alleviated due to the two-piece. So I'm going to go straight in and use my stat priorities once I have the two-piece bonus. So the build I'm currently preferring at the moment, you want to have 961 hit rating, which is 8% hit. That's the hit cap for hunters. Then you want all out crit, all out mastery, and then as close to 1000 haste rating as possible. Now this is preference, this is the build I've been playing around with. I've played around with heavy haste builds, heavy mastery builds, a bit of both, a bit of everything, and this is the build I always keep coming back to. 8% hit rating, crit, mastery, as close to 1000 haste as possible. I was under 1000 haste, which was pretty nice because I had around about nearly 15 mastery, but then I picked up the heroic belt and it dropped a big chunk of my mastery, so yeah, not really happy with that. But what can you do? Looking at the gems, red gem sockets, you want to have delicate queen's garnet, and yellow sockets you want to have deadly lava coral, which is plus 25 agility, plus 25 crit, and in lesser amounts of gear when you're still having blue pieces, you want to have the Glinting Demon's Eye, I believe, plus 20 hit and plus 20 agility. Now the way gemming works, you only want to take a socket bonus if it has plus 20 or more agility. Anything under that, you just leave it and go all out agility. Put a red gem in it. So for example, in lower amounts of gear, there is a few pieces which a plus 10 agility socket bonus, but it's a blue socket. Do not take the blue socket, just put a red gem in it. So again, only take socket bonuses if it's plus 20 or more agility. For reds, delicate queen's garnet. For yellows, deadly lava coral. And for blue, if you still need it, glinting demon's eye. And for enchants quickly, the head enchant is the reputation from Gramkahen, plus 60 agility, plus 35 haste rating. Shoulders, it is the greater inscription of shattered crystal from Therazane. For inscription, if you have inscription profession, you can use your own enchant there. For back, I use the tailoring enchant, but you're going to want to have either greater critical strike or the Lich King enchant, which is plus 22 agility to the back. Chest, you want peeler stats, end of. Braces, you want to have plus 50 agility in your braces. Gloves, which is plus 20 agility, or you could have the greater mastery if you're going for the heavy mastery build, which is something I've played around with again. In the belt, you're going to want to have an ebon steel belt buckle. In the legs, you're going to want to have dragon scale leg armor. In the boots, I go for plus 35 agility. I used to have Assassin Step back in Firelands. It helped a little bit, extra movement speed, a bit more utility. What the Assassin Step does, it gives you 25 agility and 8% extra movement speed increase. So you know, if that's something you need to help you move better, you know, a bit more awareness, that's something you can go for. It's totally up to you. In your weapon, you're going to want to have plus 130 agility, which is the two-handed weapon might agility enchant. And in your bow, you want to have the Flintlocks Woodchucker. Consumables, right then, for food, you're going to want to be eating the skewered eel or a fortune cookie, which is, they'll both be 90 agility, 90 stamina, unless your raid supplies you with the magnific feasts, which again, you know, that's great if they do. My raid do, so I don't really care about much food to me. For consumables, you're going to want to have the Flask of the Winds, which is 300 agility for 1 hour, unless your guild is supplying the Cauldron, which is exactly the same, Glyph of Battle. And your consumable potion is the Potion of Tolvia, 1200 agility for 25 seconds. For pets, I will leave links in the description because the pets you should be using are dependent on the raid buffs that you are missing. So for example, the cat I'm using at the moment supplies Horn of Winter or Battle Shout, which is 549 agility and strength. I don't really use this, I mostly use the Wind Serpent, Smelly Breath, because Smelly Breath supplies the 8% magical damage debuff, which is fantastic for your raid if you're missing that, so I'll leave a link in the description. It's a website that shows you the list of pets and which raid buff they supply, so you should be using the pet which obviously is going to supply the raid buff you're missing. There will also be links in the description to the talent builds that you should be using for each appropriate pet. And then moving on, finally, to the rotation. So let's start off with a single target priority. I call it a rotation, it is a priority list. So I'll put a priority list up on screen quickly now so you can have something you can take a look at in case it's not explained as, you know, as concise as you like. So first of all, you'd apply Hunter's Mark. Now the priority would be to keep Serpent Sting up, Explosive Shot on cooldown, Black Arrow on cooldown, Kill Shot, Arcane Shot, Kill Shot if above 95 focus, Cobra Shot to regen. Now I'm sorry if that was a bit, you know, baffling to you. I will have it listed clearly on screen and I'll go through it a little bit now. So Hunter's Mark is applied to a target. Open up with a Serpent Sting into an Explosive Shot into a Black Arrow. Right then. Now you're going to want to start regenning focus with Cobra Shot. Keep an Explosive Shot on cooldown. Now the only thing you really need to look out for as a hunter, and it depends on the given situation, is to manage your focus appropriately. You need to learn how much focus you can dump, how much maneuverability you've got. You know, when and how to dump your focus is all about the management of hunters. As you can see, I'm always making sure I got enough focus to keep my skills on cooldown. So it's learning when and how to dump your focus. Obviously on single target you're going to be dumping your focus with Arcane Shot. So you always want to make sure you have enough focus to keep Explosive Shot on cooldown, but at the same time you don't want to have too much focus, because if you become focus capped, it's a DPS loss. Again, as you can see, I've always got enough focus to keep my skills on cooldown. Now this comes with practice, so just keep practicing and practicing, depending on the situation. You know, it becomes second nature. I can keep my skills on cooldown and manage my focus with my eyes closed now. It's all about practice, so just keep practicing. That's that quickly. Right then, so imagine we're doing like an AoE pull now. The only thing which changes in your AoE rotation, really, is you are going to be using multi-shot as your focus dump, and you want to keep Explosive Trap up. Explosive Trap is brilliant, so you're going to want to have a nice Explosive Trap macro. Let's see if I got one here, which is going to cast Trap Launcher and then cast Explosive Trap. You're going to want to have some this macro accessible easily, so like on a mouse button. So I got mouse button 6, it casts my trap launcher again, and then you press the button and it launches the trap. So let me just put my pet on there. So I'd launched my trap, open up with a multi-shot, into a cobra, start dumping with multi again, into a cobra, into a multi. Right then, so I'm just going to slow it down a little bit now. I've got lock and load up. Now you do not neglect the lock and load because of the talent. I think it's Thrill of the Wild or Thrill of the Hunt or something. I'll link it right now as I'm speaking. What happens is when you use a certain amount of abilities, you have a chance to regenerate a percentage of focus, which is brilliant because then you might generate a certain amount of focus which allows you to do another multi-shot. So basically you're just going to be regenning. I'll start again now because I was exploding the lock and load tactic. Let me just get some focus back. So assuming lock and load isn't up, Hunter's Mark, explosive trap macro, then launch the explosive trap, into a multi, into a cobra, multi, cobra, multi. Again, including lock and load in, just in case you get that talent proc and it gives you a chunk of focus back. So you're pretty much dumping your focus with multi, keeping your explosive trap down at all times, making use of your lock and load procs, explosive traps down, into a multi, and that's pretty much it. You should be able to maintain a really good amount of DPS as survival. Our AoE is really strong. And as for cooldowns, well, I don't really want to go into cooldowns right now because this is meant to be quite a short and simple guide. But a lot of people prefer to dump rapid fire once they have used all of their focus. So they mostly use it as a focus regen. A lot of people stack with Potion of Talvia. It depends if you're pre-potting. It depends if you're having heroism on pull. It really depends on what your group setup is. On your trinket setup, it really depends. Find out what works best for you, because if you're running with a Valor Point trinket, you might want to start stacking your potions, your trinkets, your rapid fire. And that also depends if you've got a pole arm, if the pole arm procs. I mean, when you want to use your rapid fire really depends on you, your gear setup, your group, what boss you're on. So find out what works best for you. I do have I use power over as macro, so you can track certain amount of procs and internal cooldowns. So I proc when my pole arm comes up, and I do like to stack that with a Potion of Talvia if necessary. It depends on the fight, it depends if I'm pre-potting. So again, it depends what works best for you. Anyway, I want to keep this guide short and simple. I will make a macros guide and more like tips and tricks on certain heroic bosses if you like. But this is all for now, guys. If you enjoyed this video or if it helped you at all, please feel free to leave a comment or a like. If you have any questions, feel free to answer. And thank you very much for watching. Peace.